Transformers hold 37% market share, and that we are targeting the same area. I think that we should see 1/4 of that, and that is 1/5 of the total revenue from all of last year. Excellent. Thank you. Any questions?
No. Not for me.
Yes? Yes?
I don't get it.
What exactly don't you get?
It turns from a building into a robot, right?
Precisely.
Well, what's fun about that?
Well, if you had read your industry breakdown, you would see that our success in the action figure area has climbed from 27% to 45% in the last 2 years. There, that might help.
Oh.
Yes.
I still don't get it.
What?
What don't you get, Judge?
Well, there's a million robots that turn into something. And this is a building that turned into a robot. What's fun about playing with a building? That's not any fun.
This is a skyscraper.
Well, couldn't it be like a robot that turns into something like a bug or something?
A bug?
Yeah. Like a big prehistoric insect with maybe like giant claws that could pick up a car and crush it like that.
A prehistoric transformer?
Interesting.
Gentlemen,
So the robot turns into a bug.
gentlemen,
You should
listen,
listen
if
to
you
him.
would just...
He's got a very good idea here. The robot turns into a bug.
This is a great idea. Someone said water bug?
Different sizes and things. And
Susan, we could do
Scorpion.
ladybugs.
You could have them wreck buildings.
Transformers for girls.
A building is an earth, a bug moves.
Yeah.
It's got all kinds of possibilities.
This doesn't just happen. This guy this doesn't happen. He doesn't just come to a meeting and say bugs.
Ants and stuff and...
Well done, Josh. Well done.
A modern day remake of Matthew Vaughn's Lay a Kick, a Coen brothers end up with Timothy Chalamet. A Citizen Kane prequel, a Midnight Cowboy sequel, Alvin and the Chipmunks deserve another squeakquel. There's so many new ways to revisit sideways, but a graphic novel is how we choose to update. But we still hold fast, you can't change the past on the Ruined Childhoods podcast.
On our last episode featuring a movie starting with the letter B, we celebrated the 1988 Jim Abrahams classic Big Business. The film stars Bette Midler and Lily Tomlin in dual roles as twin sisters, split up and separated at birth. The farcical antics of the two leads and many co-stars provided laughs from start to finish, but the reviews were iffy and the box office performance was less than ideal. However, Big Business had one thing going for it. It was funny. In fact, Bette Midler won Funniest Actress in a Motion Picture at the 1989 American Comedy Awards, an honor she was given the previous 2 years for Ruthless People and Outrageous Fortune, as well as 1 year later for Beaches. But for the 1989 awards, Midler was in particularly good company, sharing the stage with the likes of Joan Cusack, Arsenio Hall, Robin Williams, Dana Carvey, and Paula Poundstone. But the actor to take home Funniest Actor in a Motion Picture was Tom Hanks for his role in this week's film. Greetings, Starfighters. This is Ruined Childhoods. I'm John, joined as always by my big brother Dan. And on this episode, we're talking about the Penny Marshall hit comedy Big, the story of a shrimpy kid who is transformed into a full-blown man after making a wish to become big. Dan, what's something you learned at 30 that you wish you knew at 13?
Just really to... How do I put this concisely? Because I think there's so much, but I mean, first of all, that exercise is important, but also I would say that there's so many things that at around 30, you're just like, oh man, I wish I had known this when I was 12 or 13. And
right.
That not to measure yourself by other people, but measure yourself
that's a good
by by your own efforts and knowing what you yourself are capable of, and not to always let yourself off the hook, but to say like, no, I am falling short of my own potential based on what I know I am capable of, and not to allow yourself to be measured by anybody else's standards.
That's a really great answer.
Thank you. What?
Yeah.
And what would you share with your 13-year-old self being older and wiser?
Well, before, I just want to add one thing to yours, not necessarily add one thing, but, you know, add on to it. But, you know, you mentioned at the beginning that exercise is important. They tell you at 13 that exercise is important.
This is true. They had, when we were kids, there was a whole presidential, like,
Oh, yeah.
This is true.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Reagan wanted us fit.
Right. And your actual answer is so good that mine, you know, definitely isn't as I don't know, well put together. But mine is just like that a metabolism exists and not to mess with it. Yeah. Because I feel like 30 is when your body just turns on you and is just like, oh, all of those years of like treating yourself poorly in all of the habits that you have formed, now is when it all comes crashing down.
Hence my exercise is important. I know that there's other parts, there are other parts to that, but I felt like that was, there's also like, no, you shouldn't eat like half a tub of ice cream just because nobody's there to stop you.
Right. I was going to say, try and stop me. Yeah.
Yeah. So, wow. So many things that we would share with ourselves. And, you know, I invite you, this is no better time. I know we don't do this until later in the episode usually, but email us at ruinedchildhoodspod@gmail.com. Let us know what you would tell unless you are currently, if you're currently 13, what would you have told yourself 5 years ago when you were 8? Sure. You've learned a lot since then. If you are older, even if you haven't hit 30 yet, what would you share? I think about 13, first of all, also, and I think about, I don't know if we've ever shared it via our Instagram. Perhaps we should, but there's a photo of me at age 13 with our, I think, somewhat distant cousin, comedian Alan King.
Oh,
and I look like it's not a good look for me. I should not have been allowed out of the house in any way, shape, or form. The hairstyle, let's just put it this way. A 13-year-old boy should not bear such a resemblance to K.D. Lang, especially circa 1990.
I would say it was a time. And
I should not have borne such a resemblance to K.D. Lang. Let's put it that way.
Well, okay, first of all, it was a certain time, and fashion, it comes for us all. For better or worse.
I was a Private Pile looking little 13-year-old and should not have had the little like quasi mullet that I had, and the shirt with whatever pattern was on it from whatever remnants of 1980s cocaine were snorted in the designing of that shirt. Yeah. Yes, mistakes were made. So there's that.
Okay. Well, I will say also our parents, and by that I mostly mean our mother, because she was the one that was really managing the day-to-day goings-on of the two of us and our brother.
Our father had no interest in our wardrobes.
Well, right.
As long as we had a collared shirt for certain occasions, and
Yes, sure. But for the most part, when it came to buying clothes, it was, mostly under the supervision of our mother. So if she did not have any kind of tolerance level for us leaning too far into like those trends. I imagine you wanted your mullet to be even more mullety, and she probably had it toned down.
I had no idea what I wanted.
Well,
I had no idea. I was lost. I needed a 30-year-old to give me some good advice.
Okay, there is a story that I was told about myself, because why would I remember such a thing? But allegedly, at one point when I was a child, perhaps around this same time, I was going to get a haircut, and the hairstylist asked me what I wanted my hairstyle to look like, and allegedly, I told her that I wanted it to resemble the hairstyle of the at the time President George H.W. Bush. Now, can I confirm myself that this happened? No, but I am told by the aforementioned mother that this is something that happened. Why I would have said that, I have no idea.
I have no idea. This is the first I'm hearing of this. I will say, similar story for my part, that
okay,
I at least remember this happening, is that I similarly, when asked, what would you like your hair to look like? I really, and this would have been around 1988, so fittingly bringing us into the year of the release of Big, because 1988 was the year I discovered British reggae band UB40 and thought that lead singer Ali Campbell was just the coolest and wanted, just like in the Red Red Wine video, where it's kind of like the side, it's kind of similar. The sides were kind of slicked back, but the top was like curly, and my hair was not, in no way, shape, or form going to do that. This wasn't going to happen. But that was, I remember I recall what I wanted. So I did, I did make that request on a similar basis, not President George H.W. Bush.
Right. Well, also, and I remember when you were a kid, I guess this would have been possibly the haircut before that, you were lobbying for and achieved the buzz cut,
the crew cut,
which the crew cut, which I suppose had you known later in life, you'd be dealing with, a real baldy situation.
Yeah,
perhaps you would have gone in a different direction, but
it was popular. All the kids were getting them that year. That was like 80 again, 87, 88. So right, not long before that. I was a real Private Pile looking goofball then, shaved head and everything.
So you were talking about your
jacket.
Yeah, you were talking about your fashions at the time as being designed by somebody who definitely was coked up. Let me tell you about some tape recordings that I listened to recently in preparation for recording this episode, and they were between writers Anne Spielberg and Gary Ross.
Okay.
And there's no proof to say that they were on cocaine, but Gary Ross was definitely jazzed up, and they recorded their conversations about coming up with all of the ideas and writing this. And you can hear this on the big commentary track. And it's really just them. And there's a moderator, like the producer of the DVD, but like kind of going through playing a lot of these different recordings. And they are so jazzed. And, Gary Ross is just like, oh, terrific. Oh, yes, absolutely. That one hits it right on the head. Is so excited about everything that's going on. And Anne Spielberg, who had produced movies before, but hadn't written anything.
Right.
This was one of Gary Ross's first, pieces that he wrote. I think he had one other credit. Maybe it hadn't even been produced yet.
He had written the an episode of The Hitchhiker.
So first movie. So first feature film. So and I mean, he's still so active today as a writer and a director and producer. So Big is really like his first foray into really the big Hollywood world, and
gets an Oscar nomination. Gets an Oscar nomination for it. Yeah,
I know. Absolutely incredible. And it's really fascinating to hear, I'm sure that even though we both existed before the movie Big existed, but we probably can't remember a time when the movie Big didn't exist. Right? I mean, you were 11 when it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like Big is so part of our, I don't know, collective
the zeitgeist.
Film memories.
It's Big in many ways. Its legacy kind of exceeds the film almost.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, we'll talk a little bit more later about its legacy. But
this is a podcast about legacy.
But just starting with the iconicness of the movie itself.
Yeah.
And I can bring it back to, and we can jump to a synopsis whenever it feels appropriate.
Sure.
But
yeah.
Also, we can talk about iconic moments from this movie. Oh. Certainly without one. Are we ready to dive in? Shall I?
Well, I just want to kind of wrap up my thought on this is that like they to listen to these people talking about something that would become so ingrained in the cultural zeitgeist. And,
yeah.
And what I'm saying is like it's hard to remember a time before it was just like, I don't know, part of all of our DNA. And it's hard to not talk about like certain moments, and certain things weren't even written, like eating the baby corn. That wasn't something that was written or anything,
right?
But the way that everything develops for the Zoltar machine, which at one point he does call it a Zardoz machine, and as they're kind of like throwing out potential names for it, yeah. But yeah, it's really cool to hear people just getting excited about being on the cusp of something. And it's like, you could classify this as a body swap movie, even though it is one person and just in a body transformation. But like, this is a time when body swap movies are kind of, they're back, they're hot again. Mm-hmm. Like Father Like Son, vice versa.
Which all come out before Big comes out.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yep.
So,
though Big it's different. It totally
most certainly is.
Like Father Like Son and vice versa are similar in a lot of ways. And we spent a whole episode talking about those two, and Dream a Little Dream, which comes out in 1989.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like Father Like Son and vice versa are very silly comedies, and they were very much about watching these up and coming young actors who were famous from TV playing adults, and watching these other actors who were known for their film roles playing teenagers, whether they were at the beginning of their teendom or towards the end of their teendom.
Right.
But Big always felt different.
Right. I mean, one thing that it does share with them is that it is about adults getting, kind of being in a position where they, adults who have kind of lost touch with that like childlike wonder, and by meeting this person have kind of, found that in themselves again. And that's, the Loja character and the Elizabeth
Perkins character. Yeah.
Well, both of them.
Especially
Elizabeth Perkins.
I feel like with the Loja character, because like he still has the habit of, he goes into FAO Schwartz and walks around, and like he's more in touch with it than the Elizabeth Perkins character.
Yeah.
But he's lost. Sure. Right. The Loja character, Macmillan, definitely from his experiences with Josh and from opening himself up to this person and allowing this person to impact him, it enriches his life. It makes him better and more fulfilled by his work.
Right. Yeah.
Similarly to Elizabeth Perkins' character Susan.
Yeah. Well, why don't you give a little synopsis and then we'll really get into it.
Here we go. After being height-shamed at a carnival in front of his crush, scrawny 13-year-old Josh Baskin wishes to be big at a mystical machine. The next morning, Josh not only grows 1.5 feet, but he also ages roughly 17 years. Unable to convince his freaked-out mom that he's actually her son, Josh relies on the help of his best friend Billy to track down the same machine and reverse the wish. Out of luck and out of cash, Josh posts up in New York City and lands a job working at a toy company. While waiting for an update from the records office, Josh fails upwards both in his new career and also his love life, having caught the attention of marketing exec Susan, all at the expense of his friendship with Billy, the only person committed to returning Josh back to his real body. And of course, as the adult Josh, we have Tom Hanks. As the 13-year-old Josh, we have David Moscow. As Susan, we have Elizabeth Perkins. As Macmillan, the boss of the toy company, the aforementioned Robert Loggia. As Tom Hanks's, or as Baskin's professional and romantic rival, Paul Davenport, we have a wonderfully villainous John Hurd. In this movie, you have Jared Rushton as Billy Kopecki, Mercedes Rule as Mrs. Baskin, Mercedes Rule, who cannot have a child in a movie without him vanishing under some mysterious, either he has a ticket to a movie and he's in the movie, or he gets turned big. My goodness, magical powers and the children of Mercedes Rule in
Poor
movies.
Mercedes Rule.
Yeah, I mean, I can only think of those two. But
right.
Yeah, and John Lovitz, a Penny Marshall regular, pops up.
Yeah, and John Lovitz, who doesn't overstay his welcome and is perfectly cast in his role.
But that's how Penny Marshall uses John Lovitz. Case in point, also A League of Their Own. Wonderful use of John Lovitz. He pops in, he says a couple of funny lines in his John Lovitz way, and makes his exit. So, but yeah, Penny Marshall, and this was her second big screen.
Jumpin' Jack Flash was what year?
86.
I was going to guess 86 too.
It's 86.
Yeah.
So,
and she is so right for the job for this one.
So good.
She's got, the heart is there. And Hanks is so good in it because you really believe him. You believe that he is a kid.
He really,
and he clearly takes the time and puts the care into the performance to really bring that in.
There are certain moments where you definitely know, and I think especially his first night sleeping alone in New York.
Oh yeah.
After Billy leaves, which in New York, and this is 1980s New York. I think this is just before the end of the Koch years and into the Dinkins years, and New York was really the wealth disparity in New York was much more apparent than it has been in recent years. I mean, any big city, you definitely have that, but there were areas of New York City that were definitely felt more dangerous especially when you're a kid. And I think that that's one of those moments in this movie, and it's so well directed and so well played, where he's just trying to turn up. And what I love about this scene, so he's in this really cheap, shady place, probably not far from Penn Station. I want to say it's somewhere, it's the St. James Hotel. I want to say it's a block, within a block of Penn Station.
Well, you have to figure, Billy and Josh live in New Jersey, just outside of New York. And you have to figure they probably took a bus or the train in, and it would have to be somewhere within a few blocks of wherever they would have gotten left off. I'm sure they just found the first, just in the world of the movie, they would have found the first place that said hotel.
Which is either in that at that, I mean, even now, but like, especially then, it's either within blocks of Port Authority or, which is up by 42nd Street, or Penn Station, which is down by like, 32nd, 33rd, 34th. And, this is a scene that really captures how it feels and how it would feel to be, and I mean, like, I know it's semantics because he turns 13 over the, during the movie. Yeah. So, but at that, you're not on the latter end of 13. You're not 13 going on 14. You're right there. And you're still so much of a little kid, and you're not used to spending time away from your family. He's got a baby sister. Yeah. All of this stuff that, and he's, he lives this really comfortable, this really small, he and his best friend, and they have their little songs that they sing together. And, right. I mean, I want to focus on this scene right now, but that's another just wonderful scene is when they reconnect, but when he is just in that room and he's turning up the volume on the TV, and he's just trying anything to block out all of the sounds and people yelling, and like someone is on the phone in the hallway, like right outside his room, and they're shouting, and it feels exaggerated, but in such a way that as an audience, you feel that fear, you sense that fear.
Absolutely. And you can also picture David Moscow in all of the shots doing the same exact thing.
Yes. Well, and they, of course, Tom Hanks being the professional he is, definitely spent time with both of the kids, build the relationship, because he and, Billy, played by Jared Rushton, really have to have that rapport of being best friends. And so that moments like when he corners him, when adult Josh corners Billy in the like storeroom for like the phys ed class, which, I mean, you think again as a kid, and I'm like, wow, like Billy really isn't scared of much. But when he sings, when Tom Hanks goes into the Shimmy Shimmy Cocoa Bop song, and he's
which is
desperate.
Perfectly established.
Yes,
just a few minutes prior, really.
So well.
Yeah, and the way that Billy kind of transforms in that moment and really believes him is really astonishing, and just like it shows a great performance from him too. Really, really impressive.
Yeah. Great work there. Another scene, and these are
he had kind of the Dan at that age haircut.
Oh yeah, absolutely. A little redder, a little on the redder side, but and it worked better on. He has a bit of a Danny Cooksy, but
absolutely,
yeah. He's an actor who, after this, because I think both of the kids were like, I remember they were like really featured in the promotions around the movie. And David Moscow went on, Newsies is probably his biggest post-big performance. Jared Rushton, the only other thing I think I've seen him in after this, and maybe I'm forgetting something else, is there was a film adapted from a popular young adult book called Hatchet by Gary Paulson.
Oh.
Most kids who have been in middle school, I want to say since the turn of the century, so you might have missed Hatchet, but being a language arts teacher and having taught middle school, have definitely come in contact with Hatchet and taught it. And, of course, when you're teaching a book in school, the kids always want to know, is there a movie? So, and if you look up what the movie version of Hatchet, of course, it's a, low grade horror movie, but they they changed the name of the book for the adaptation.
Got it.
Jared Rushton plays the main character.
Dave Hatchet.
So
That's cool. No, and he's so good. And it's like, I wish that I would have seen him in more stuff because he's really tremendous.
Oh, I
can't imagine this was just lightning in a bottle because he's got it.
He has so many moments and like so many moments with Hanks that like he really carries the emotional, like when Hanks is really turning kind of cold and he's like getting into the whole corporate life and Billy just wants his best friend back.
Yeah.
And he yells at him and wow.
Well, also, with the exception of the beginning of the movie, he also is tasked with performing scenes. Like all of his scene partners are adults.
Yeah.
He has the scene with Mercedes Rule where they, are talking through the windows to live next door to each other.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. First with the walkie-talkies.
Yeah. And then they just.
Beautiful scene. We see Billy dealing with Josh's assistant at the office and the woman at like the records office for the when they're trying to find the Zoltar machine and everything. Like he's constantly up against like all these other adults and he really stands out and holds his own. And I saw a deleted scene where it shows more of his home life.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it seems like it's like a big family. He's, kind of having to manage a lot more than kids usually have to manage. And so it makes sense to see him. But like, I think that it's like a lot of other siblings. So it would make sense that like if he disappeared for a while and was in New York, nobody would really notice for a while. There were so many other kids.
Right. But, now that makes sense.
Watching the movie in its final theatrical edit, you don't miss that, but it makes everything make a little bit more sense if you really need to think about it a little bit more. But I don't know. We've talked so much about Billy, and for good reason, but just kudos to Jared Rushkin for such an amazing performance with that one. Just talking through David Mosco's performances, because of course he really just bookends the thing.
Yeah.
He's so good. When you see him at the carnival, you really feel for him. When you see him, even in the last shot, walking back to the house and everything, like you believe that this is child Tom Hanks. And there's just some sort of magic with the casting that really makes it work. I don't know. And first of all, if you haven't seen the movie Big, what are you doing? Go watch Big. It's like it's an important movie. I feel like that like you have to see it just to be part of the conversation.
Yeah. And, interestingly, you were talking a little bit about Billy's home life, and I was like, that kind of sounded vaguely familiar to me. And then there was something else that I had read about an alternate ending. And it occurs to me that at a certain point, I owned the novelization.
Did you?
I know. And for those of you who might not know this already, John is a collector of
I have a modest
novelizations.
Collection.
I
have a very modest collection.
You haven't
so
been
far.
collecting for very long, but
Correct.
And what's sad is that I used to, as a child, not that I was trying to collect them. I just loved the movies so much, and I was so anxious to get into their plots that I'd get the books. And I do remember having the novelization for Big.
So you remember some sort of alternate ending that perhaps is in the novelization?
This one I'm not so. This one I'm like, is this a Mandela effect thing? But I read something. I was just kind of like looking into things, and there was I don't know, like Reddit or whatever, and it was about an ending where like Billy and Josh are in class, like after they're kids again. And a new student joins the class, and it's Susan.
Okay.
It's a younger version of Susan. But then I also saw there were responses that said, like, this was from another movie that was really similar.
Well, I'll tell you this. In the Ann Spielberg, Gary Ross tapes,
Yeah.
well, I think that no, it wasn't in the tapes, but they were like pontificating after whenever they recorded the commentary track or whatever. But they were saying, because the question came up of like, sequels and different ways to end it, because over the course of the movie, Susan, Elizabeth Perkins' character, she goes through this transformation where she realizes she grew up too fast and, missed out on, like, she lost that childlike wonder and all those things, and she fell in love with this guy, and because of the way that he has this, this purity to him, and this just like this utter joy that you only have when you're a child. And they just like mused on the idea that she would have maybe gone to the Zoltar machine and become like 12 or 13 and like gone to the school and said like, "Hey honey, how's it going?" But that wasn't ever written. It was just something that they mused on.
Well, it was just funny because I read this. Yeah. Oh,
but I was like, they did say that like that's the kind of ending that the studio did want, but that they wouldn't write.
No, and I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they didn't because, as we know, it ends with they kind of have this moment where they look at each other and they wave goodbye, and it's kind of like okay, now we are going back to our lives moment, and it was what we had was special, and it will always be special, but we have our lives to get back to.
I will also say that there's something special, not to overuse the word special, but there's something very special about the fact that like maybe the Zoltar machine only works for Josh. Otherwise, so many people would be having wishes granted and things like that.
And
so
like crazy wishes, right?
Yeah.
Like people when someone's going to be like riding a dragon around or something because they made a wish from Zoltar. And
so
that's really cool.
The idea that maybe like there's just something about him that makes it actually grant a wish, makes it more impactful.
I wonder, and again, no, because of course he wouldn't be the first person to really wish for something he really, really wants. And also, this is maybe not something he's thought about a lot because it really just feels like in that moment he's just really frustrated and he's like, oh boy, because I like this girl who's like my age, but she's into like dudes who are like 4 years. In New Jersey, you get your driver's license at 17, and she's like, so I mean, even if we assume this guy's driving around on a permit because she's into him, he's got a car. This guy, so Josh is crushed. Right. This guy, likes, or she likes.
Yes, you're talking about the girl that he likes. She's dating this older guy. You're right. Yeah,
who can drive?
No, that's a little sus.
Yeah, it's a little. I mean, it's sus that he's into her because she's in middle school, but also it's like, girl, like give it a few years.
Yeah,
like you both need to be looking elsewhere. Because
absolutely,
because she's all just like, oh, he's got a car, and like you're 13.
That's true.
It's one of those you don't know, but also it was the 80s, different times.
There's only so many things that we can let the 80s get away with. And
no. There's nothing. No. That was not a sincere. It was the 80s.
Yeah.
No, like the haircuts and the clothes, we could say,
and the cocaine.
It was the 80s. It was 1990. It was whatever. But no. Sus is sus. Whenever.
Right. Okay, let's talk about Robert Loggia for a second.
Let's talk about Robert Loggia.
I love him in this. It's so great wonderful to see him just playing like a total sweetheart. The F.A.O. Schwartz scene. I mean, what is there really even to say about it other than just that it's iconic and for good reason?
And this is where So those who are not new to the show, who might remember our Zorro episode when we talked to my friend Cesar Gracia, who worked at FAO Schwartz for several years.
Did he?
Yes, he worked at FAO Schwartz. I got to see him do the whole bit because, of course, tourists come in and they go. Even like I'm talking 20 years later, because I remember it was like 2008. He was working there. I mean, he was working there before that, but
yeah.
So like even 20 years after the movie comes out, that's what people are going into FAO Schwartz to see, that big piano, to jump on it, to try to play Heart and Soul and Chopsticks. So I saw him do it a few times. We have video like way back, like one of the first YouTube videos I think I ever posted was like of him in FAO Schwartz doing the big piano bit.
Oh yeah. Well, it's so good. And I'll also mention Cesar was on our Scarface episode.
Oh. That's
Wasn't
right.
he?
Was he? I don't think he was on our. Was he on our Scarface?
I thought he was.
Wait, he must have been on our Scarface episode because no. He must. Was he on our Zorro episode too?
I thought so.
Am I misremembering? Yeah, no. It would make sense he was on our Scarface episode. He has a like connection to that movie. So, but you listen to the Scarface episode. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, there is something really special though about Robert Loggia doing it because he is of an advanced age, not elderly, but like he's, late 50s maybe at that point,
at
early
this time,
60s.
Yeah, no. He's 50. He was born January 3rd, 1930. So, yep.
And you just know that.
Wikipedia told me.
No, I just like the idea that you just know that.
I know that I am when it comes to Robert Loggia, I am a Loggiapedia.
Yeah, right.
So
for him to,
go for it.
For him to be doing that, which he did everything that you see. There's famously no stunt doubles for that one. He nailed it.
They were prepared, but they didn't need him.
Yeah, and it's such a perfect way to endear Josh to him and to really let you know, like, this is why, like, he sees something in this guy who's right at this point is just like a data entry cog, basically, who is being told by his next cubicle over office mate, John Lovitz, to slow down because he doesn't want to make them all look bad. But it makes perfect sense that McMillan would want to like prop this guy up, and because he sees something that the other executives don't see, which is how to think like a kid. And the way that like Josh explains why certain toys are good and bad, he's talking about like the like hockey game or whatever, and he's like, well, the old version's better because you could move them, and this one you just spin them. Like it's not as fun,
right?
There's not as much you can do. And you can see Robert Loggia like processing, like, what is this guy all about? Like, this, who thinks like this? And he's got something. So it's like, what a dream come true for a kid to be in like research and development for toys.
Yeah. Well, and he's got
and get paid crazy money for it.
Well, to your point about the fresh perspective he brings, he's also got that scene that's so great when John Hurd is making the presentation and he has I don't get it.
I don't get it.
About was that with the building that turns into the robot?
Right.
And,
right.
And like, just from that perspective and saying, like, you are making this from an adult's perspective as something that you think a kid would like, but a kid sees right through it because it has no imagination.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the market research says that kids like things turning into robots and big buildings. Yeah. So obviously we have to make big buildings that turn into robots. And
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it. And I will say that, like, the project that Josh and Susan start working on, which is this kind of choose your own adventure comic book that has, computer chips and, discs and stuff, like, great idea. And clearly those types of things, there's not like a 1-to-1 for that's out right now, which is shocking to me. But like, we certainly can have that. And years ago, when I had one of my first podcasts, Hey Teens, with past guest Eric Goslin, we put out a zine, and inspired by that comic book in Big, we put in QR codes so that there would be video elements to the zine's written content that, people could zap. And that was that was a long time. That was 2012, 2013 maybe.
Yeah.
So, early QR code days for sure.
Very early.
But
don't
that
think
was
I
all
knew what it
inspired
was
by the idea in Big. So-
wow, no kidding.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, that was really, and at the time when, going to get your weekly comics was much more of a thing, and like, browsing the comic book rack, and you were starting to see things like, you didn't see anything exactly like that, but you were starting to see things closer to that. Like we were really close to the Game Boy coming out, and there were a lot of, handheld portable electronic gaming devices, which also, let's talk about the game that Josh plays in this, because it feels very much like a game that we would have had. Like the Commodore 64 or whatever.
Yeah, it's a text based, with graphics, but like, a role playing game about some sort of ice wizard.
Yeah.
It was made for the movie, so you don't need any more than just that one moment of the game, but you can use your imagination about what the rest of the game is. And it's kind of surprising to me that they never actually made a game of that game, after the movie came out, to kind of go along with it, because I'm sure a lot of people would be like, what's that game they play in Big? I want to play that game.
No, but what they did make and sell a lot of were big pianos that people could put out at home and reenact the scene. Those they sold. No one, I don't think, then that's the cool thing about this movie. I don't think anyone saw it and was like, I really want to play that, like, defeat the ice wizard game or whatever. I want to jump on one of those big pianos like now.
That is true. Also, I want to say something really quick, because we were talking about the marketing department of Macmillan Toys being so influential to how things got developed there. If anybody is watching on YouTube or on Spotify, first of all, hey, I'm waving. But also, I'm going to point behind me to the big poster that's on the screen. That's the worst poster design I've ever seen for a major motion picture. That's like an iconic movie. It's the worst poster. It's the worst. It's just like, it's so close yet so different from like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. The only difference is that this shows zero personality. And at least the Ferris Bueller's Day Off, like him kind of like hands behind his head, you get the idea, like, oh, what's this teen all about? But this is just like, oh, it's Tom Hanks and the word big.
I am pretty sure that that's a promo from the what was the name of the TV show he did with Peter Scolari that I cannot remember?
Bosom Buddies?
I'm pretty sure that's just a Bosom Buddies promo photo that they just they were like just focus the frame on Hanks's face, pop the title of the movie in the bottom right, and let's call it a day.
It's just his
like,
headshot.
what does it mean? It's just like his face. Yeah, and it's big. Let's go.
Yeah.
Print them.
Yeah. Right. I know. I mean, subsequently, they made other, cover art for VHS tapes or, DVDs with, him on the piano. But like...
No, that was the theatrical poster.
That was a theatrical poster. I even dug around being like, I know this is what I know, but like, there's got to be another one. In other countries, there were other ones.
I would love to see a Drew Struzan design, because like, I want to see him at the friggin' Zoltar machine. Kind of, almost like imagine the Last Starfighter poster with Alex at the Last Starfighter machine, but it's Josh at the Zoltar machine. And like, you got Susan, you got, was it like John Hurd with his handball like gear?
Oh my God, that handball scene is that, you know what? And that's one that I feel like doesn't come up a lot in conversations about Big, is that handball scene where
that fight is real.
That all feels so real, you know.
Yes.
Josh is trying to just like play this game with this guy he doesn't like, but he knows like I've got to play ball.
He gets it.
He is a stickler for the rules, but Paul doesn't want to play by the rules. And
he's a middle, but it's amazing because it's such a middle school thing, and he's like this is a situation I'm used to. You're a bully and a cheater, and I don't suffer that. I don't abide by that.
When he's like holding up the ball and like
switching
playing
hands.
keep away.
Yep.
Oh my God.
And they're
so
pulling
good.
at the shirts and everything, but like that fight looks real. That looks
totally.
That's the reality.
I love that scene. That's such a good scene.
It's a great
scene. It tells
scene.
you
It's
so
uncomfortable.
much.
I didn't like it.
Really
so, John,
is.
I did not like this movie when I saw it when I was younger. I didn't like it very much. No.
Interesting.
No,
what was it
this
about it that
was
you
a
didn't
movie.
like?
This was not the Tom Hanks that I liked. I liked the Tom Hanks from Dragnet. So
Goof. Well, I mean, he's still a goofball, but
he's a goofball.
Smart talking.
Right. And there were things about this movie that just weren't fun. They were uncomfortable. And when you watch it older, you recognize that. And you also recognize like the honesty of his, like, yes, that's a face of a middle school kid who got punched for doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Afterwards, after the fact, when she's fixing him up.
So maybe you would want your 30-year-old self to tell your 13-year-old self that Big is actually a good movie.
I mean,
there's more to Big than what you're processing right now.
At 13, that I don't think I would have accepted. And I was bordering at 13, John. I was bordering on my film snobdom. Like I was.
I went through a phase when I was older. I was maybe like late teens, early 20s, where
college.
I was so over Tom Hanks.
You were so anti-Tom Hanks.
I was very anti-Tom Hanks because I think that there was just a thing where it was just like there was just an oversaturation of Tom Hanks, and it's just like, why can't I escape this guy? And it became just too much for me. That was around the time of like Castaway.
I was gonna say, John, because Castaway was that was to me the
where
jumping the
all
shark.
Tom Hanks.
That was, but that was totally jumping the shark, especially because the trailer for Castaway revealed, it's been 25 years, revealed that he gets off the island, or strongly hints that he gets off the island, which I was like, okay, so now you are really just expecting people to buy tickets to see this movie, which we did. I don't know that you were involved, but like, which I definitely saw the movie. But you are just expecting people to go see it to watch Tom Hanks and a volleyball act and see Tom Hanks like lose weight and just watch him do that. And I agree. I also felt like it was too much and he was like overrated. I thought Tom Hanks in Philadelphia, wonderful performance. I know it's one of those roles that he's said, like, you know, right now, different time, different place, he would not be playing that role.
Right. Yeah.
But also at that time, for him to be playing that role was legendary and gave visibility to people. And I know even though Tom Hanks was not representative of that group, the film gave mainstream representation in a way, and showed a mainstream leading male Hollywood actor playing a gay character and playing that character not for laughs, and even, which made it even more powerful, that Tom Hanks was known for comedy.
Yeah.
And which made, I think, like, without this Oscar nomination, Tom Hanks can't do Philadelphia. He doesn't have the credibility. Right. So in many ways, Big gets us to 5 years later And, there's a lot of steps in between what your Turner and Hooch, Joe versus the Volcano, The Burbs, League of Their Own, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But I think that's what gets him to Philadelphia. And then, and then there's Forrest Gump, and that one's got a, spotty legacy too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, even looking back at Bosom Buddies, that's definitely something that wouldn't fly these days.
Correct.
Have I talked about, apologies if I've talked about this in the podcast before, but I have this one is a memory of my own, not a memory that's been told to me. But I remember when, I don't know if you must have been there. So when we were kids, our brothers Scott and I, we both took piano lessons from this one guy. And I believe you occasionally took keyboard lessons from this guy.
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar to you?
Well, yes, because I wanted to play reggae like British reggae band UB40.
Okay. So, I remember our parents were having like a dinner party where it was like kids have to be upstairs, dinner party, adults only downstairs. And they hired that piano teacher to play piano, for the dinner party. And I remember kind of like scooting down the stairs to the point where there's like a little bit of a crevice where like you can see what's going on, but you're still kind of like hidden. And I remember the piano player was playing My Life by Billy Joel, the theme song for Bosom Buddies at that moment.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say Dad's 40th birthday.
Oh, okay. I don't know the occasion. I just remember it being like a dinner party.
Maybe I'm wrong. That would have been 1988. I don't know. Maybe not.
It's just like whenever I think of Bosom Buddies, Billy Joel, like I think about that moment, and it cracks me up because I remember this guy like playing his freaking heart out. He was loving it.
It's ringing a vague, distant bell in my mind. So what I didn't remember was that My Life was the theme for Bosom Buddies. So,
oh yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, I loved Bosom Buddies. I loved watching Bosom Buddies, and I liked those early Tom Hanks movies, Dragnet, Turner and Hooch. I had a big Turner and Hooch poster on my wall as a kid.
Yes, you did. Yeah, you really know. Like you didn't. You turned on Tom Hanks. I know it was oversaturation.
I don't know.
It was over.
It was oversaturation. I mean.
And overpraise. I want to say like people were a little too much like Tom Hanks is the second coming of like Jimmy Stewart, and in many ways,
sure,
in like that actually plays in many ways, or he's preferable.
I mean, I loved That Thing You Do. I still love That Thing You Do. But and nowadays there are movies that he's in where I'm like, oh, okay. Like The Post, for example. I'm just like, oh, that's solid. I enjoy that kind of thing. The elder Tom Hanks roles, but the one where it's like, I don't know. There's one where
he's been in the Wes Anderson movies. He was in the most recent Wes Anderson joint with Benicio del Toro. And it's
true.
And I feel like it's very much about like, yes, like,
wow,
it's
a
similar.
Philadelphia reunion.
It is similar to it is similar to when with Benicio del Toro in Philadelphia.
Oh, Antonio Banderas is who I'm thinking of. Never mind.
Yeah. But so Tom Hanks, although that would be cool. Like, let's get Tom Hanks and Antonio Banderas in a movie together again.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I feel like the Tom Hanks in the Wes Anderson movies is very much the same gimmick as Tom Hanks in the Lady Killers when he worked with the Coen brothers, which was, let's see Tom Hanks get wacky.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And, I mean, I saw, the one where he's the curmudgeon. It was a remake of the Swedish movie, A Man Called Otto.
Yeah. I didn't see that.
And the most recent, like, Robert Zemeckis one Was it called like
Oh,
You or
with
something?
Robin Wright here.
With Robin
Is that the one
Wright
where like they're just
here.
in the house and
Yeah.
you see them age?
I haven't
and-
seen that one, but
No.
I don't know. Anyway,
No interest.
Let's get back to talk about Big.
Big, and we had Robert Loggia in there, and for Robert Loggia, this is a pretty this is a little bit of a departure. It's a little bit of a softer. Prior to this, he's in. I mean, of course, he does a voice in Oliver and Company. So speaking of Billy Joel,
Of course.
wrote the songs. And but prior to this, he's got Preetzi's Honor, Scarface, Officer and a Gentleman. So he's doing some pretty.
Gritty stuff.
Some gritty stuff. But then, also some career highlights after this. And interesting, he's not in as much as I'm trying to think of. Actually, that's right. He's in Psycho 2. He's good in Psycho 2.
Oh my God.
Have you ever seen Psycho 2?
No.
John, yeah, you should watch Psycho 2. It's fun.
Should I?
Psycho 2 is not bad. You know what else is in The Opportunity Knocks with Dana Carvey?
Oh, uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
He kind of has I feel like it's a similar thing to this. He takes Dana Carvey under his wing, but that's because Dana Carvey convinces him he's somebody else.
Uh-huh.
In that movie, let's see, what else does he pop up in? Necessary Roughness. He's the coach in that, and then he's got Independence Day, Lost Highway in '97. So, man, Robert Loggia. And then did he do a stint on The Sopranos? Am I remembering that? Yeah, he sure did.
I don't know. I was never a Sopranos watcher.
Yeah, Feech. He's Feech.
I remember him probably best from Over the Top.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. He's the villain in Over the Top.
Yeah. But he's fantastic, and
I'm a fan of his Minute Maid orange juice commercials. It's the best thing when this this kid who doesn't want these commercials are fabulous. They're the best. Whoever came up with them, I hope they won a Clio, because it's like this kid who doesn't want to drink orange juice, but then Robert Loggia in this all black suit walks into the kitchen like he's gonna rough someone up. But the kid is Star Trek. He's like, Robert Loggia. And Robert Loggia's like, drink your orange juice, kid.
Thanks, Mr. Loggia.
Yeah, it's totally like that. Robert Loggia pulled up in the friggin' Sweet Pickles bus or something.
It's
dropped
almost
off
like
some Minute Maid and...
It's almost like the William Devane... what is it?
The
William
William
Gold
Devane
commercial
Gold
where he buys
commercial.
lemonade from a girl's lemonade stand, and she goes here you go, Mr. Devane.
She's a big fan of Rolling Thunder. Her favorite movie is Rolling Thunder.
Loves Rolling Thunder.
Yes.
Huge fan. Loves the Bad News Bears sequels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, so
Where they
just to
play
talk,
somewhere else.
because we're already at an hour here,
yes.
so just to talk about the legacy of Big, Broadway musical, which Ann Spielberg and Gary Ross said was pretty garbagey, but I think it ran for over 190 performances.
Yeah, ran for
which
6 months and...
Yeah, nothing special, but that was, that's what you do. That's what you do with big movies now, is you turn them into musicals for Broadway, and then they get 6 months. There was, I think in 1990, there was a sitcom version of it in development. They kind of brought that back up again, maybe 10 years ago or so, but nothing ever happened with it. I think there was maybe a Korean remake, but not, anything that's an official part of the film's canon kind of a thing. But Dan, I'd love to know what you would do given the opportunity to revisit Big.
Okay. Well, what a good question. One that
it's what we do on this podcast.
And
famously,
fortunately, I've
for 306 episodes.
I have thought about it. Fortunately,
Okay.
So, all right. Here's the ideas. And forgive me, I don't know if I've struck gold with anything here. So 2 ideas. So first of all, one that actually takes place during the timeline of this movie, but it fills in a very, very kind of obvious blank here, and that is, where is Mr. Baskin throughout all of this? We know where Mrs. Baskin is. She's pining away. She's in the room. She's got the walkie-talkie. But where is Mr. Baskin? So
isn't there a scene where he's like in the background or something?
Only in the beginning when they go to the carnival. When they go to the carnival, he's with them then, but then he's gone. You know why? Because he's on this. So what we don't know about Mr. Baskin is that he is a mob accountant, and that's why they live where they live. He needs to be, there. He's local, and he calls in some favors because his son has been taken. And no, I'm not bringing Liam Neeson into this. Just because I said taken does not mean, yeah. So, but he calls in some favors, and they are tracking down whoever took his son. So this whole time, and all they have, because when adult Josh is in the house and encounters his mother, and then she calls the police, he doesn't touch anything.
Right. That's true.
So there's no way of, it's not like he picks something up and then she's like, yeah, no, he picked up that glass, get the fingerprints off of it. And they're like, they're your son's fingerprints.
Yeah.
No.
They're just big.
So all we know is we have this sketch, and so the mob is looking for him, and of course they, they find him, but then he vanishes. And so that's the story. The alternate story here is following Mr. Baskin throughout this as he is trying to, because his wife is she's got the baby. They cannot deal with this right now. And he's like, look, this is not, he's like, I do what I do. I don't ask questions, but I need to ask a favor.
Yeah. Okay.
So now the other idea is we have a present day Josh who wishes to go. He finds a Zoltar, and he wishes to go back to just before his 13th birthday, so he could relive the experience as a 50-year-old being 13 in the body of a 30-year-old.
My mind is just blown right now.
Yeah, I know, right? So and we know, John, we've established, you yourself said it, Zoltar works for Josh.
Yeah.
So the older Josh, and I don't know why I must have done voice to text here. It says played by an AI generated image of a 50-year-old Tom Hanks. I don't know. But I'm just saying it doesn't have to be. It could just be Tom Hanks at this age, and he wishes, and then you just play the movie big, but now you think about it and you're like, oh, okay. So he's 50 in that 13-year-old inhabiting the 30-year-old body. So
sleeping with a 30-year-old woman.
He's not 50. He's much older than 50. He's, whatever, 70. Right, exactly. So it's kind of less weird, right?
Yeah.
It's less weird now.
Yeah. And that's something that we didn't touch upon. And a lot of people bring this up as being a creepy element about this movie, is that this woman has essentially slept with a 13-year-old in the body of a 30-year-old, but it's very weird and twisted and confusing and strange. Something also that I wanted to talk about, Gary Ross also wrote a movie that has a lot of similarities to Big in kind of the messaging, and that's Dave, a movie that you and I love a lot. It's about I want to talk and mostly about kind of the Sigourney Weaver character.
Yes.
Who it's just she is reinvigorated by the kind of refreshed version of her husband and sees something new in him. And so there's a very similar there's some similarities in the sense that like they have somebody who's lost their childlike wonder, and this person that comes in and like shakes things up and changes things for the better.
Wow.
And then there's also similarly to a 30-something-year-old woman who gets romantically involved with somebody who she doesn't realize is actually a 13-year-old boy in the body of a 30-year-old, and then sees him turn back into a 13-year-old. Lots of twisted stuff there. I'm sure she's going to be in therapy for the rest of her life, whatever.
Wait till she finds out he's been 70 like the whole time.
Yeah, right? Yeah. But in Dave, Sigourney Weaver's character ends up at the end with the man who was impersonating her now dead husband, who is identical to him in every single way except for mentally, but as we know, same penis. She has confirmed that. But that's a very twisted romantic situation. And sure, it only comes up at the very end, but it's like, girl, you might want to look into this a little bit more. Clearly, she knows what her physical type is, but anyway.
Well, if you think that's weird, you should have seen Gary Ross's first draft of Seabiscuit.
Oh, boy. Okay, so let me tell you my idea.
All right, yeah.
Because we're already
let's go.
well into this. So I want to see a prequel about Zoltar.
Yeah, there we go.
I want to see, like, maybe it's like the 1200s, and there's this, like, something
Zoltar.
like that where... What's that?
The real Zoltar.
Well, but here's the thing. First of all, we have to, and the movie has to address the cultural insensitivity about Zoltar, in being wherever Zoltar is from. But what I'm thinking for this prequel is that this is not somebody who is, I guess, like, Middle Eastern or, whatever they're trying to depict as the figure in the Zoltar machine. But perhaps it's somebody who's maybe a con artist or somebody who's like a swindler or something, and they get involved in mysticism and essentially get cursed to it's in a lot of ways kind of like Mannequin, and that it's like somebody who's cursed into becoming this thing by
they're trapped
because maybe they made some sort of deal with like a demon type character,
right?
And they didn't return on what they were supposed to deliver.
They've wished to have this power for all eternity, and this is how they will have it for all eternity.
Exactly.
Yes, it's you didn't read the fine print.
Yeah. Now, did they turn it into a carnival game in the 1200s or whatever? No. But it's like the entity travels between objects and things like that, and it transforms into different things depending on the time. So, maybe in a different era, it was a different object that was called Zoltar or whatever. But anyway, that's what I was thinking, because like the only, and this is something that Ann Spielberg and Gary Ross say in their thing, is like the only way that they would envision to do a sequel, because people always seem to want to like make sequels of their things, is to do somebody else using a Zoltar machine. And that's just not that interesting. Like, it's...
Well, what would they... But, like, also,
it.
Would they wish for the same thing? How... I guess, like, that would just be the only... That would be the plot, is that somebody wishes for something, they want to reverse the wish, and they have to find the Zoltar. So it's basically the same thing, except maybe it's a different gimmick, and it's not like a body switch gimmick.
Yeah, but also it's just like... You did the Zoltar wish. That, what do we really want to see?
You don't need a
sequel.
No, but the prequel is interesting. Like, the prequel is a fun idea. The backstory of Zoltar, who was the real Zoltar. What's the story there?
Yeah.
That's fun.
But I feel like by doing a prequel about Zoltar would also be a way to, improve the mentality around, like I said, the cultural insensitivity
Right.
of Zoltar as it currently exists.
Vaguely ethnic. Like, that's,
Yeah.
like, you can't even get more specific than that, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
Right. So, yeah, that would kind of, right those wrongs or close those loops.
Sure.
So,
Well, if
bring
all of you have
balance.
ideas on how you would want to bring back Big somehow, email us, ruinchildhoodspod@gmail.com. Check out ruinchildhoodspod.com for some more fun stuff. Leave us a review and rate us on all of the podcast apps or on YouTube. Leave us comments. We really love it when you do that. It's a lot of fun to
Yes.
engage with y'all that way.
Thank you.
So, Dan, this is the penultimate episode of our current season. We have gone A to Z with movie titles and then Z to B. What is our final episode? What is our last A episode of season 3?
Our last A episode. Well, of course, we started this journey bookended with A's with Anaconda. Bookended, we have an A in the middle there as well. So we are appropriately going to go back to the similarly titled comedy thriller 1990s Arachnophobia.
As their marketing department called it, the first Thrilomedy.
The first Thrilomedy, yes, absolutely. And it's directed by Frank Marshall. It stars Jeff Daniels.
Oh, another
Harley-
Marshall director.
And that's right. Yeah. No relation
From Penny to Frank.
In this case, though there is the Spielberg connection, as Frank Marshall famously, produced most of Steven Spielberg's films, definitely up to that point. So we have Frank Marshall directing, Jeff Daniels, Harley Jane Cusack, and John Goodman starring.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. Of course, bittersweet ending the season, but
yeah,
Arachnophobia is one that I've been excited to talk about for some time.
Oh, I'm so excited, Dan.
Yeah.
I do not have arachnophobia phobia. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, quite the opposite for me, John. Quite the opposite. Can't wait to get tangled in that web. I don't know. I went a little Jiminy Glick there. I'm sorry. I'll stop.
That's okay. But Dan, as you are riding in a limo, hanging off the top of it, I wish you a good journey.
Good journey.